What is chicken grit? Do your chickens actually need it? Do your ducks need it? Where can you get it? What kind of grit should you buy? I'm going to answer all those questions in today's video. Hi, I'm Kelsey. I'm your best friend on the homestead from roughandtumblefarmhouse.com. Now, first of all, it is a poultry palooza out here today. The ducks accidentally got locked in the barn this morning, so they're kind of sassy right now and loud. And of course, you can see the chickens are behind me here. So hopefully it's not too distracting. And talk about distracting, my microphone looks like a giant crazy caterpillar right now, but it's a little windy, so hopefully this all sounds good. Anyway, now that's out of the way. Let's talk about grit. So what is grit? Well, I've got a big bag of it here. I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like. Grit is basically small little pebbles, little stones. In this case, I have a crushed quartz style of grit. This is called, I think, cherry stone grit. And it is something that's really important that your chickens have access to, especially if you don't have free-range chickens. Now, a chicken, if you look at sort of an anatomical picture of a chicken, you'll see inside they have this thing that sits right about here that's called their crop, and then further down, even they have their gizzard. Now, chickens, sorry, the ducks are just like on the move over there. Hopefully they're not too loud. Anyway, chickens, as you know, and ducks as well, because ducks also should have grit in their diet, they do not have teeth at all. And so what they do is they swallow little stones and little pebbles, and it sits in their crop and in their gizzard a little bit as well. And as they eat grass and grains and other, bugs or whatever, those stones work kind of like a little stone mill, and they grind up all that food so that they can then pass it on through the rest of their digestive system. There are a couple of different types of grit. The one that I have here is kind of a multi-purpose. They say you can use it for chicks or for adults as well. They also have it made out of different kinds of stones. So I have pretty much just seen quartz and I've seen granite. So they make it out of stone that is really, really hard because they don't want it to break down. If it breaks down in the digestive system of the chicken, that's no good because it's not doing its job. It needs to, be able to grind up chunks of corn and stuff like that. It's got to be really solid stone. And also, those are not types of stone that as they break down, they're not going to give your chicken a bunch of minerals or something from those rocks that are going to maybe overdose them on some kind of mineral that's not good for egg production and things like that. In terms of what is better, quartz or granite, at least on this bag, I don't know. I mean, they're advertising their own thing. They say that you want quartz because quartz is a lot sharper and a lot more effective at grinding stuff up than granite is. But honestly, I don't know which one really makes that big of a difference. In terms of grit that is sort of chick sized, again, the one that I have here, it's for any age. It's like an all flock situation. I don't actually usually supplement my chicks with grit. They get access to grit when they start coming outside when they're probably around 5-6 weeks old. And I have not had a problem with that. Some people do supplement when they are little. I never have. I've always had very healthy, vigorous chicks. I don't give them the grit until they get older. So that's up to you whether or not you want to give grit to your chickens when they are just little chicks, or you want to wait until they are closer to being that adult size. But once they're at least around like 6 weeks of age, that's probably a pretty decent time to start exposing them to the grit. Grit is also something that I really don't worry too much about supplementing in the summer, but that is because we free range our chickens. We also have a gravel farm driveway, and so there are plenty of opportunities for them out in the pasture or in the driveway to pick up little bits of grit and stones and things like that to help. This rooster, I tell you, plenty of opportunities for them to pick up what they need just out in the natural environment. And if you free range your birds, you probably won't have to supplement that much for grit in the summer anyway. It's not very expensive, so it's a good idea to offer it for a supplement regardless. However, in the winter, I make sure they always have ready access to grit. Some people will feed grit in with their feed. I typically just get like a cute pie plate or something like that at the thrift store, put it in the coop, fill it. Oh my gosh, now the guineas are going. Sorry, like I said, poultry palooza out here today. Set a pan of some kind or feed thing in the chicken coop and just put grit in there and they will seek it out themselves. So I typically don't mix it in with their feed. Maybe when they're, if you're doing it with little chicks, that's okay to mix in a little bit. But otherwise, if you just make it available to them, they will find it. And sometimes even like with our ducks, I've just been kind of scattering some around their feeders, some out here in the yard, and they will naturally go to pick it up because they know that their body needs that in order to properly digest their food. Now, if you do not free range your chickens and they are in some sort of abandoned area, they do not have access to sort of rocks and driveways and things like that, then you will have to supplement grit. It's really important you do that for them to have a healthy, functioning digestive system. Now, there are some grits, kind of like the fancier, bougier grits that you can get that also have probiotics and stuff like that in there. Those you're going to want to feed a little bit differently to your animals. It will have instructions on there about, how much to add to their feed in general, if you want to give it to them straight. But I think typically you want to mix those in with their feed ration at a kind of a certain, like 2 tablespoons of grit per, scoop of feed or something like that. So just pay attention to that, and that is an option. Mostly they're just mixed with probiotics and things, I think, for general flock, health. But I have always just used kind of the straight big old bag of grit you can get at Fleet Farm or whatever Fleet Supply store you have in your area. So that's the last thing to cover, is how much does grit cost? It is not very expensive. I have this huge 50-pound bag, was less than $10. I think it was like $6 or $7. It's not very expensive, and this will last a very long time. I probably will not have to buy grit again for like 2 years. But then again too, I also have birds that are out here moving around and picking up their own grit. One thing that's important to note too is you do have to continue to supplement grit with your chickens, because the grit does eventually work its way out of their system. You can't just give them grit one time, have them fill up their, crop and gizzard, and then they are fine with it. It will move through their system, so they do have to replace it on a consistent basis. So you want to make sure you always have it available for your chickens. And ducks too. Don't forget ducks. I don't know about other types of poultry. Honestly, I've never looked up if my guineas need grit. I really don't know what their system looks like. Our guineas are just kind of crazy wild things that do whatever they want out here and beat up everybody else. So I don't know, but they have access to grit if they want it, just because the chickens do. But oh my gosh, the ducks are coming over to say hi. Hold on, I wonder if I can turn this or if they're gonna run away when I do. Ooh, hold on. Hello. They're like, what are you doing? Can we eat it? That's what we want to know. Little goobers. Anyway, also sorry, the farmyard is a complete disaster right now. I am in the process of cleaning up a bunch of stuff and hauling stuff out of our shop and everything. So yes, that was a small glance at the disaster on the other side of the camera. Anyway, the ducks are coming in. I better get going. If you have any questions at all about grit, make sure you comment below. Also, if you are new to keeping chickens or just want to learn more about chickens in general, I have an entire chicken keeping course, which I will link below. Has all the information that I have learned over all my years of keeping and raising chickens. I have had laying hens and meat hens and raised them for well over 15 years. So I put everything I think a beginning chicken owner should know in one nice little complete course. And I also have a discount code for viewers of my channel that you can use as well to get it for, I think, just like $20, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week for more from our rough and tumble farmhouse.